I would just like to get into the recent message from the irritatingly ubiquitous Canadian academic and human algorithm, Jordan Peterson. He recently published a controversial video message to Muslims on YouTube.
Hi all. I have been informed by many sources and also observed online, not least because of my discussions with a variety of Muslim thinkers, supporters and critics, that I have developed an audience in the Muslim world. I would first like to say that I could not be more pleased or honored that such is the case. It has been so heartening to see that my biblical lectures, for example, attracted a large Muslim audience, and that the comments from the Muslim watchers and listeners to my YouTube channel and podcast have been so extraordinarily positive. And all this is lovely to see in the aftermath of the extraordinary Abraham Accords, which have laid out the possibility for peace between all the people of the book in an unprecedented manner.
Now, this video was produced by his new employer, the Daily Wire, and it garnered almost 2 million views in the space of 2 days alone. It was met with sharp criticism on the internet for its content, and while many have taken issue with his idiosyncratic presumptions about Muslims in the video, very few have commented on his explicitly stated aim. Now, the caption for the Daily Wire produced video spells it out more clearly. It says, and I quote, "In the aftermath of the Abraham Accords, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson suggests that the Muslim community can set a historical example by reaching across the aisle and making contact with whom they regard as the enemy." Now, as is his signature style to individualize macro issues, he sternly reprimands Muslims, imploring them to take inspiration from the Israeli normalization vehicle, the Abraham Accords, and embrace other groups of people. Now, this is an attempt to astroturf, support, and at least some form of quiet complicity with the dispossession of Palestinians in the name of religious tolerance. Now, what could possibly explain Peterson's sharply pro-Israel turn? Now, my investigation into the infrastructure around him and the forces behind this video in particular lead me to believe it is a small part of a coordinated campaign to normalize Israeli settler colonialism among Muslims. So to start with, we should look at the Daily Wire, which is the media organization which recently signed a large contract with Jordan Peterson. Now, its day-to-day operations are managed by the chief operating officer there, John Lewis. Now, John Lewis is a former intelligence analyst in the US Marine Corps. And also, the Daily Wire now employs a former US military intelligence officer, Wesley Schmidt, in customer service analytics. The founders of the Daily Wire are, of course, Ben Shapiro and Jeremy Bowring. Now, both of these individuals have worked for organizations with significant connections to Israeli military and intelligence institutions. Ben Shapiro previously stated that Israelis like to build, Arabs like to bomb crap, and live in open sewage. Now, before founding the Daily Wire, it's important to note that Ben Shapiro was a Robert Shillman Fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center. His position there was directly funded by Robert Shillman, who simultaneously to that sat on the board of the Friends of the IDF and pumped millions into the building of illegal settlements in the West Bank. The other co-founder of the Daily Wire, Jeremy Bowring, was instrumental in developing the Prager University project, which was founded by Israel lobbyist Dennis Prager. Now, according to the other Prager University founder, Alan Estrin, Jeremy Bowring came up with the site's signature visual style. Now, the CEO of the organization, while Jeremy was working with it, was Marissa Straight, who was formerly an agent of the infamous Israeli military intelligence unit 8200. The current senior editor and researcher at Prager University is Richard Lim, who was Deputy Associate Director at the White House and then went on to be a program analyst at the FBI. Now, the Daily Wire not only shared founder Jeremy Bowring with the Prager University project, but also funders. Both organizations were funded substantially by the fracking billionaires, the Wilks brothers. The Wilks brothers provided the seed funding for the Daily Wire and regular financial support for the Prager University project. Dan Wilks has also lavished financial largesse on the Liberty Council, which has a Stand With Israel program that consists of tours of the apartheid state and includes briefings with Israeli government and military leaders. Both Shapiro and the Prager University project have also enjoyed funding from the Bradley Foundation, which has financed a panoply of Zionist organizations, including ones involved in the illegal settlement building in the West Bank. Now, it's important for us to note that there is connections between Jordan Peterson and a Canada-based Israel lobby group, the Abraham Global Policy Initiative. Now, he's publicly supported the work of Richard Kravitz, who's on the board of the Abraham Global Policy Initiative. And during the period of impotent resistance to US military aid to Israel by a few members of the deeply complicit US Congress, Kravitz published an article titled "The Murderous Anti-Semitism of the Efforts to Kill Iron Dome in the Times of Israel." His chauvinistic rant concluded with the following sentence: "If this is not naked anti-Semitism played out very publicly so that anyone with a moral compass can see it, then nothing is." This is a clear linking of the struggle for Palestinian human rights to irrational hatred of another group of people, and is the common tactic of the Israel lobby across Europe, Britain, and the United States. Now, Peterson gave the article his seal of approval and publicly promoted it to millions of followers on his Twitter page. Now, it's important to note that the organization that Kravitz is on the board of, the Abraham Global Policy Initiative, was set up lockstep with the Abraham Accords and is home to several prominent supporters of Peterson. It's also played a role in the normalization process with Morocco. Now, the founder of this organization goes by the name Avi Ben Lolo. He's written about the supposed attempts to silence Peterson, and also Mohammed Tawhidi, who is a board member of the AGPI and a close friend of Ben Lolo, has sycophantically lauded Peterson as, quote unquote, one of the greatest scholars to ever contribute to human thought. Now, Tawhidi publicly promoted Peterson's Daily Wire produced message to Muslims with the hashtag Abraham Accords, suggesting a coordinated effort. Former Canadian Senator and Minister and current board member of the Abraham Global Policy Initiative, Stockwell Day, has also publicly promoted the work of Jordan Peterson. Now, it seems to me undeniable that Jordan Peterson's latest intervention is focused on selling Israel to a Muslim audience, and judging by the company he keeps, along with the company that currently employs him, it was directed as part of a concerted campaign.